To welcome you back to our series of short videos on genealogy research here in southern Italy. Today we want to talk a little bit about some records that can be very useful in your genealogy research that you are not going to be able to find online, that you only find in paper form here in Italy. And these are kept at the Archivio di Stato, the state archive. And remember that Italy is divided into regions, and these regions are divided into provinces. And in each of these provinces in the capital city, there is the state archive. And these are great resources. And since Italians like to create paper documents, they have a lot of things to store. And one of these that they have are going to be military records. And these can be very interesting because they can give you a snapshot of a young male ancestor and their life here in southern Italy. And the first of these lists that you might want to look at is called the Lista di Leva, and this is a draft list. So all eligible males between 17 and 20 were required to report to have their name and description and their eligibility put into these registries. And it's, again, a book form. And this started after the unification, generally 1865, is when they would start creating these documents. And these were great because it gave you a physical description, their eligibility for service, also gave you maybe some information about their family, who their parents were. Because if it was a son, he may be the breadwinner for the family. If he was only son, then he may be exempted from service because he would be the breadwinner. So those are very important and interesting details you can find in these records. They give you the physical description, so you can get a picture in your mind of what that ancestor might have looked like. And then if they actually served in the military, there's a different set of records called the matricolari, and these are also in a book form, and they would list what service they actually did in the military. If they were enlisted for a couple years, it might list the different places they were stationed, and then also when they were released from service. So these can be great records. Tell you little interesting tidbits, descriptions, a little bit of the family, about your ancestor. But remember, these were done the town that they were resident when they became of age. So it may not be the exact town where they were born, so those are things you have to know. But they will tell you their town of birth and give you some great family information. Another set of records that you can find at the state archives that you won't find online are the records from the notaio. And this can be frequently translated as a notary, but a notaio in Italy is much different than what most people think of as a notary. Notaio is a lawyer. They must pass a very specialized, rigorous exam, and they are then the legal representative for the national government in each town. Every town usually had at least one notary, and many towns had 2, 3, maybe 5, depending on the size of the town. And the notaio would be responsible for drawing up land contracts, sale or purchase, gifts of land. Also, they would write up if there was a dowry when somebody was getting married, and also wills. If an individual created a will, the notaio would be the one that would do that. Now, you must also remember that these are the types of documents that you would only find for people that had some financial substance. So maybe if they were nobility, semi-noble, or a professional, or a landowner. Unfortunately, with the large majority of family in the south of Italy in this time period, a lot of them were just farmers. So they would not be able to afford or have the resources that would require the use of a notaio. But if your family had some financial footing, this might be some great documents that you could use in researching your family. One thing with the notaio, again, you might have to know which notaio your family might have used if there was more than one in town. The notaios did everything by hand, so they're always handwritten documents, can be kind of tough to read. And again, they're put into a book form. Condition of all of these documents can vary from one state archive to another. But these are some great resources when researching your family history here in southern Italy. But again, you would have to have a researcher here in Italy go to the state archive to look for these records. So we appreciate you spending some time with us to learn a little more about some of the unique records at the state archives. So remember, you can find out more information about our genealogy services at our website,